Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to Winning Mondays with KW Malaysia. My name is Mariah. I'm the Regional Training Coordinator at KW. So, we're all in April now, new quarter, lots of excitement. Our borders are opening up. We can travel again. Yeah. Who's excited about that? Who's excited about traveling? I know John will usually ask you to type a 1 in the chat box, but for me, I want to see your faces. So if you're excited, can you all turn on your camera and give me a wave? Yay, Francis, Susan. Hello, 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 everyone. Elaine, thank you. Lim, Narayan, hello, Ashlyn. Yeah, that's awesome. I think we're all excited. I know that. Okay, and for us, we're pretty excited because we're starting a new series called Your Path to Building a Business Worth Owning. And it's going to be featuring our awesome CEO. So let's welcome Jonathan Lee, who's the CEO of KW Malaysia. Let's give him a wave and give him a welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Mariah. Thank you for this.
Yeah. Yeah. So how are you feeling about the new quarter, the new borders opening up?
I have no travel plans, to be honest. I have no travel plans at all. And I'm just excited that this new quarter potentially will bring more opportunities for agents and all of us in our businesses, and also the economy of the country. I think it has to impact the economy of the country so that people are able to look at acquiring or disposing their real estate to help them in their businesses, right? So I think that is exciting to see progress as we move forward out of this pandemic. Yeah.
You're speaking like a true CEO, right? He's like all focus, all business, no play, man. Awesome. Okay, so I wanted to start off. So just on the bigger picture, I know today we're going to be talking about thinking like a business owner. But before we get into that, can you tell us your thinking about starting this series called Your Path to Building a Business Worth Owning? What's your thinking behind that?
I think the last 2 years, and of course, in my 18, 19 years of real estate business, I've seen a lot of frustration in the business. And the last 2 years, I've seen even more frustration in our business where agents are struggling to grasp understanding of how can they have sustainable businesses.
Okay.
And from my observation, I think one of the key things that is causing that frustration is a misalignment of reality and what we expect business to be. And I think that's why I felt key that we need to sit down and start talking about this.
Right.
And I think there's no better season than now where we will feel more frustrated as we do this business so long and we don't really have clarity what business is all about and what is the best practices and what is the best thinking and model to have in running a business. And I think this is generally not only for real estate, but a lot of business as well. I think the same concepts and principles comes into play. But I saw that there's a lot of frustration, that people are working very, very hard. Some of them working enormously hard. They sacrifice a lot of their time, their money, their effort. But yet, there's a lot of frustration. I can't seem to achieve this. And then I make a decision and say that, hey, real estate is not for me. Let me go try something else. And then go into the same mode again, and they get into that frustration again. I see that happening very frequently in my observation. And I felt that this is a need for us to have this series because I think this message about how we should think about business, run the business, and behave like a business owner is critical for us to sustain long in this business.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. So you're really trying to help people with all the frustration right now with the current economy and the current situation.
Right.
That sounds awesome. I think everyone will get value from this. Okay. So this topic of thinking like a business owner. Yeah. It sounds like you're saying this is the place to start, right? Because no matter what business you're in, you have to have the right thinking. Right. Yeah. So yeah. Tell us, how does a successful business owner think?
I think the first concept we must understand is what is the definition of business? You go back to that foundation starting point, you ask yourself, and sometimes you're going to ask it out of frustration. And I'm going to ask a question to the participants here this morning. How many of you in a certain period of time or even now, you are facing frustration in your business? If you are, please press 1. If you are, please press 1. Right. How many of you wish that in your frustration, you'll be able to understand where do you change and what do you change to remove that frustration? How many of you would like that? Right. And a lot of people want that. Right? And it all begins by understanding what is the principle and the foundation understanding of business, right? Because everybody is going through frustration, whether your business is small or big, in a certain season or certain period of the business. And if the foundation is not clear, we begin to shiver and we begin to lose focus and we begin to misunderstand the realities of life. I'm going to show you this little chart, this little concept here that I want to share with people. Can you all see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I want to see everyone's faces here. One of the things that I think that people do not understand is this, that the purpose of business is to deliver value and create customers. That's the purpose of business. In order for you to have a business, you must deliver or create a certain value that create customers that wants that value from you. Does that make sense so far? So for example, today, if I want to earn 5 ringgit selling, and I'm thinking of, I'm a chef today, I'm thinking of trying to make money from the skill set I have as a chef. And I decided, okay, I think flipping burgers and doing Ramly burgers, like I think about it, right? You see this oversized Chinese dude on the street selling Ramly burger, right? I think that's a great branding opportunity for me. And I go there, or I say that, let me give more extreme. I'm an oversized Chinese dude with glasses, flipping roti canai, selling roti canai right now. Now, everyone will be interested because I don't know any shop, I'm not being racist here, but I don't know any roti canai stalls that has a Chinese oversized guy with spectacles selling roti canai, flipping roti canai. Everybody will flood there and see how does that look like, right? Now, I'm creating value by not only delivering that roti canai, but an experience for people to observe. What in the world is this guy doing, man? He's out of the norm, right? And I'm creating a lot of customers, right? So that's the concept of the purpose of business, to deliver value and create customers. You have to first think about what's the value that you are bringing to the marketplace. What is the value that you're bringing to the marketplace that you can then create customers? Does that make sense so far? Right. And then when you can create customers and create value, then the opportunity of a business is to take that revenue and manage to a profit. When you create customers, you will create revenue. And your goal as business owners is to how can you take that revenue and manage it for a profit. Now, this is 2 key concepts here that I think many people may not start the journey of real estate or business like this. They start thinking, how can I be a better salesperson? How can I go out there and conquer and be a salesperson, right? It's like I go and decided, how can I become a good roti canai person? Right? I can be good, but if I don't have the business, I don't have customers, I don't know how to create value, I can't engage customers, I don't have a business basically. I wonder whether this makes sense for people, but like this is the idea of business, because the opportunity of a business is to take the revenue and manage it for a profit. So there are 2 key things. The purpose and opportunity of business is to deliver value and create customers so that you can create revenue. When you have a customer and you got value, there's an exchange, there's revenue, right? And then you manage it for a profit. You manage the revenue for profit, meaning every business must have a profit target and manage towards it. So if you are going to, if I'm going to sell, if I say I shouldn't think of how many roti canai should I sell. I should be thinking at the end of every single business day, how much profit do I want?
Right.
Very different, no?
The other way,
versus,
the other way.
Oh, I need to sell 10 roti canai to survive. But at the end of it, I just realized, oh, shoot, I can't pay my electricity bills. I can't pay my water bills. In fact, I can't pay my phone bills. I can't do anything, right? So I realized if I want to earn 1,000 ringgit a day, I need to understand how many must I sell, right? I need to understand from that angle. So business planning must come from having a profit target in mind and manage towards it. There is a misconception that profit is just whatever happens, happens. Now, there's this song that I don't know, some of you, if your parents have sang to you, I will encourage you not to sing this song to your children. I grew up listening to this song. It's called K Sarah Sarah. Whatever will be, will be. Now, beautiful song, very nice song. Not a good song to encourage your children. Whatever will be, because that is not the right mindset in running business. If you're running business, I will encourage you to live a life by design, by thinking and designing the way you want to have that outcome, right? So that's just my idea about business, Mariah. Back to you. I know I answered this short question in a very broad and long way, and I gave expressions, and like now I just tested, I validated this point that if I open a roti canai store with a Chinese oversized specky guy flipping roti canai, I guess people will come. So now I've got a potential value add that I want to create. But yeah, that's the understanding that I have.
This is a great backup plan. I just realized I had a poll that I wanted to ask. I'm gonna just, because this is, I mean, you went right into it, right? To like talking about how the best practices of how to start thinking about business. But I want to just back up a little bit. I'm going to run this poll. It's just one question. Okay, I'm going to ask everyone to take a look at this. Okay, do you think of yourself as a business owner? Okay, so all you REMs and agents out there, do you think of yourself as a business owner? Maybe yes, you're totally in. Gary Keller is your hero. You sleep with the MREA book under your pillow. You're all in. Or maybe you're trying to, but not so sure. Or you don't really think of yourself, but you know, one day you dream about owning that roti canai shop maybe. Or maybe you're just, this is not really, you're not into being a business owner. You just simply want to just sell some houses and like get a bit of money just to take care of yourself. Yeah, so everyone give some answers. We're doing well. Come on, everyone come and share your answers. Yeah. This is great. And if you put other, anyone who put other, I want you to write in the chat, what's the other? You tell me what is the, how do you see yourself? If you don't think of yourself as a business owner, how do you see yourself, or how do you answer this question? Okay, well, we got 40% and participated, not bad. Let's get some, you can all see the percentages building up, right? This is great. All right, I'm gonna close this poll in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you everyone. Okay, so let's look at the results. All right. Okay, John, what do you think of these results?
Sorry, I can't see the result. Are you sharing the results already?
Is it not? You cannot see, yeah. Okay, hold
right,
on.
right. I saw. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll put it back. Can see?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So 44% say yes. 32% say I'm trying to think that way, but ...
Yeah.
About 17% saying I'm just trying to make a living selling properties, and others are 7%. So yeah.
Okay. So it looks like almost about half the people who answered are like all in. They're already thinking like a business person, so maybe they will, yeah. But some people are not even there yet. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Right.
And we have some other. We have an other here in the chat box. Other entrepreneur mindset is every business to drive the challenges through the positive mindset. Okay, very nice. Okay, so in terms of, I was thinking because I was thinking maybe not everyone comes into real estate with that business mindset, right? So what is that, like maybe we might have some unhelpful thoughts or like some limiting beliefs, right, about what we can do. I wondered if you could just share, about, some common beliefs that you have seen, and maybe, a way to overcome that. Yeah. Right.
So the common belief that the scene is they enter the industry, or they enter any business or industry hoping that something will happen. That I use the word hope.
Hoping.
It's because, not because it's by default, it's because most have no understanding or purpose of why they do what they do. They don't understand that, right? And they don't align their business purposes with their life purposes together as one.
Okay.
That's number one that I noticed. And everybody is trying to achieve something. I see John doing that. I see Paul doing this. I see Susan doing that, right? I also want to be like them. Let's try. The danger of that, the danger of a lot of personality-driven modeling of people is that they don't understand the realities of these people's life. So I give an example today. I always share this in all my business coaching sessions with younger people. I said, everybody look at Elon Musk and say he's successful.
Okay.
Well, he's successful in creating something, but does he have a good life and a healthy life that I want to model after?
Oh.
I would say personally, no. Why? Is because he just lost his marriage and his family. I'm not going to go to, I don't want that kind of success. Right. Nothing wrong with that. That's by choice. But if you want to go and role model people and follow personality, you must look at the whole entire package, right? What does it mean? Are you okay with that kind of lifestyle? Are you okay with the kind of belief system? Are you okay with that kind of habits and behavior? And I see a lot of personality driven in our business, right? Our industries. I see agents earning their first dollar and they say, I want to get my Mercedes Benz.
Right.
I'm going to get my Rolex. Now, nothing wrong with that. I have no qualms about people doing that. But I make a different choice is because I don't see that as my purpose and goal.
Yeah.
Now, so you got to align, right? Why you do this every day? What is the alignment? What's the purpose behind it? Is it to pay bills? Is it to fund something in your life? Is it to make something happen? And normally I notice my observation, people who are aligned with their personal goals together with their business goals, they're in alignment, they will be highly energized and they will be highly focused and they will begin to think about the things that matter in their business. So I think alignment between life and business has to come first. That's probably my number one key observation. I see people doing that. Because when that happens, when there's an alignment, something powerful happens. Something powerful from within comes and it's called energy. You are energized when you are in alignment.
Yeah.
You are very burnt out when you are in a misalignment. Right. So I think these are some of the limiting, the mindset that I think people don't understand. They don't think, it creates a lot of frustration. Why am I forced to make that 50 calls? Why must I become like that agent there where he's good at calling cold calls? I am not good at calling cold calls. Now the challenge is who asks you to follow the person to do cold calls? There are other things you can do, right? But if you're in alignment to want to hit your goal, you will figure out what's the best for you to hit that goal because you know why you want to hit that goal. I don't know whether that makes sense, but that's really one of the key things that people don't think of it that way. They are too quick to follow and look at people and say, I want to be like that without understanding what it means for that person.
Yes, because that person will have their big picture. They have their big why, right? They have created their thing. And then if we're just following that person and that style, we are not looking at our context, our big picture, what our main goals are, right? So that's going to be a problem, right? Yeah. So how does someone, like, if they, they've just come in and they're just, going for that Rolex or whatever, just following after, how do they start to change to like consider, having this big picture and maybe making a business and all that? Like, how would they start to do that?
Wait, so think about what's the good that your business can do. Think about what it can fund other than yourself. When you set a goal that is about yourself, which is important about yourself and about others at the same time, it's a very different thinking. So I give an example today. I want to go and I had a goal. I had a car goal as well. In 2005, in my second year of real estate, I was driving this Proton Vira, special edition. I bought brand new. I remember the story. I bought brand new. The first day I drove off the lot, I couldn't start the car. The car was like, it's a Proton. And no offense against anyone who's driving Proton, but at that point in time, it was bad for me, right? And I made a clear decision. I don't want to leave this one. I want to buy a car that I liked. So 2005, I had a goal. My goal was to hit my car goal. And I bought a Nissan Safiro 3.0. Chinese people call it Sei Fei Lo. Sei Fei Lo means big fat guy. So it was the car that I want is a used car, 105,000. I worked towards my goal to got it. I got it in my second year. Then I realized, oh, okay, after I got my car, what's next? How do I go on?
Right, you're just like
what's next, man? What's next? What's going on? And that made me realize that when you hit something for yourself, it's not sufficient for us to drive us to keep going. It's just not sufficient. For me, it was not sufficient. Then I start thinking about what about my family, or by thinking of my in-laws, I'm thinking of doing all this kind of stuff. And I began to understand that the goal was not only just to fund my life, it was to fund certain things around me, people around me, right? That could benefit from the success of the business that I'm building. And that was the one thing that helped me change my perspective.
Okay.
Right. So never had my German or my European car until 2 years ago. 3 years ago, I'm sorry. Right. I'd all been driving Japanese car all the way. And I had my European car because I finally realized I think I just need that right now for what. And everyone of us want things. But I think in the midst of wanting things for ourselves, what about the other things that we can do for others? Right. When you have a bigger goal that is helping others to achieve certain things, or helping others, or funding certain things for others, charities, your churches, your places of religion, or your family members, maybe to fund one of your nephews to go overseas to study, I don't know, whatever that is, right? So when you have those kind of goals in life, it drives you and it creates energy, and that's you begin to align your life and your business clearer.
Yeah, I totally agree that there's this level of inspiration and excitement that comes from being able to see smiles on other people's faces and change someone's life forever. It gives more energy than even that car probably. So okay, so you talk about the first step is having that bigger picture, doing something for others. What other like thinking mindsets about business, helped you in building your own business? Like maybe you could just share from your own experiences, how to those different, besides this one. So we have the first step kind of there, but what other things are there that we can take from?
Yeah, so if you look, this is our series, right? The next series is about planning your business, about budgeting your business and database and all that. So those are the series that you can, but it's having a structure and a form in your business, having a clear pathway. You got to formulate your business. Okay. Right? I don't know, I sometimes I feel that I'm a revolving record, right? I'm like a broken record talking again and again, but I see that is the fundamental things. How many of us have a formula and a number that can help us hit what we want to get? And the reason why I say that is because if you don't have this formula, you will never be able to know what's your profit. And I see so many people, one of the key frustration I see is this. I work so hard, I make so many sales, but at the end of the year, I don't have any money. How many of you experienced that before? I worked super hard, I close transactions, but at the end of the year, after I pay my taxes, normally it's in June for real estate agents, June, July, you pay your taxes, then you realize, shoot, number one, I may not have enough money to pay my taxes. Number two, where did all my money go? How many of you experienced that before? Because I certainly have in my life. How many, if you have experienced this before, please press 1. Right? It's very common. And the reason is because we didn't have a formula that helped us understand what has happened to our money and time. Because the frustration is either I spend too much time doing too much work, closing too many deals, but making not enough money. And that's the reason why we chose, personally, I don't like awards. I'm sorry here, I'm going to say this very openly and transparently. I don't like awards where it's awarding people for closing a lot of sales. Because we should be thinking otherwise. How can we award people who has the most profit? Right? Interesting. Because when we award people for making a lot of sales, we tell the whole world that sales is the most important thing. But how about the business thinking? How about the profit that we take home? What about the net income that we take home? Right? So that's the idea, is because the industry as a whole do not help people to look at it this way. And that's where the frustration is. It lies in the time, in the money. And after 1, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, a lot of people get frustrated and they realize, I just think I'm going to give up. Or I think that I'm not good enough. Or I think that maybe I should go and do something else. Right? And that's where they lose out and they start doing something else. That's where time passes on and then it's hard to kickstart new things again. But if we start correctly, right, you start thinking about what the amount of business that we do and what's the profit and how do we manage to profit? How do we understand that numbers? those things are the one I think help to keep us alive. And I want to share a quick story. I think in my early years, I was fairly successful. I was a very good salesperson. I was focusing on how to be a great salesperson. And in those days, the benefit is the internet was still 1515. You all remember what is 1515? Internet was still 1515. So it's still a dial-up. We call it dial-up internet.
Okay.
And not everyone has internet. Broadband was something very, very luxurious, right? And consumers don't go and research. There's no resources for them to research, right? There's just no online listings. I was in that generation. And the only way they saw was the star classifieds. And if you know how to position your ads correctly, you will attract people to you, and you just talk. I was a good talker. I don't know whether you noticed by working with me these few months, and some of you work with me for so few years, you know that I talk pretty okay. I have the gift of communicating in a way that will make people engage and attracted to me, right? So I will tell things. To people, and I will advise people. So there's so many things. Even sometimes the things that I say is not true. And I honestly believe that was what I did last time.
You're a con
right?
man, that's why.
That's why they call me the con man, right? I consult people. It says con man consulting, right? And it was easy back then. It was so easy because I was a great salesperson, right? I know how to handle objections. I know how to propose. I know how to. But it came to a point that I make so much money. I also spend so much money out. I still remember one time I realized I make so much money, we spend so much money, and they came to a point at that I couldn't fund my family, I couldn't fund life, I couldn't fund a lot of things.
Wow.
Right? Even though I was selling a lot.
Right. So people will think you're so successful, right?
Yeah. And I was selling a lot, but I was not able to fund. Is because I was not tracking what I earned. I was not managing my business. I was not managing my business for profit.
Okay.
So that's where I realized that is the key frustration that I had, and I think a lot of people is having right now.
Right. Wow, that's a great example. Like you were just all focused in one direction, and then it blew up, kind of like you're not even able to take care of your family. So yeah, so now you're seeing that the solution is to actually think bigger picture to create that business. So yeah, we want to have that thinking of a business owner. Okay. And tell us more about how your thoughts have shifted over the years, especially since you've joined KW. I mean, KW is all about business, right? So tell us more about how KW, encourages agents to think.
Right. I have a few slides that I want to just run through.
Yeah, okay.
That's in line with the profit principle. And these are myths that I want to go through with people. That there are a lot of myths about business. And the first myth that I think is what I always thought of when I started my real estate business in the early 2000s, was that profit is whatever I have left over. Profit is the starting point. But the truth is, profit is the starting point that you work your way back from. So you got to understand this is the profit, that's the income that you're going to make net back to you. Now, profit meaning you keep the money aside at the end of the financial year, whichever financial year you think about it. And some people think about profit every month. That's fine. Every month, I want to make sure that I have a net income of 5,000 ringgit that I can set aside and not do anything about it. Or I can save, I can put it aside after minusing my expense. And by the way, guys, one of the best ways to think about business is pay yourself a salary. Whatever income you earn, pay yourself a salary. Do not take net income, net in commission, and spend net commission out, which happens to me when in the beginning of my career, and I realized that's where the money went go up very fast. So you've got to first have a budget for your own personal life. This is the amount of money you can spend for whatever reason. Have that budget set out, but pay yourself a salary or an income that can pay and fund your life. Whatever is balanced, fund your business. Then net profit, right? Net profit is the equation of money that you want to keep and have it as extra. Now, profit is the goal of business. Survival is not the goal of business. If you think about your business as a means to survive, trust me, you will struggle. Now, I'm going to repeat. Business is not for you to survive on. Business is for you to be profitable on. Because if you think about survival only, you don't think about profit, the challenge is you will be competing with other business owners who's thinking about profit. And that's where the frustration will come again. How come he do it better than me? I also do the same thing. He do the same thing. Why? Why? Because someone is able to manage the profit better and he's using the profit to scale his business and win market share. So thinking about this, that profit is the end result that you want to achieve from running a business while funding your life. Right? While funding your life. So that's the first myth. And a simple concept in this is basically this. Revenue minus expense equals to profit. What's the revenue? You must know what's your revenue. Now, in my observation, I talk to many agents and I ask them this question. A lot of them, when I'm trying to coach them for the first time or trying to understand their business for the first time, and you'll be amazed by when I ask questions. So what's your revenue last month? There are some people who don't know. And the reason they don't know is not because they are not smart or they are not, it's just because the thinking process is not like that. You understand what I'm trying to say? It's like if you come and ask me tomorrow, so how many calories you ate yesterday? I will look at you and say, I don't know. I had one bowl of rice, I had one noodle. I don't know what does that mean, but that's why I know, because I did not program myself to think like that. If I want to
measuring that, you're not measuring that item.
Yeah, so I'm not having that mindset. Now, the reality is that's the choice. In every season in our life, we have different priorities, right? So what I believe will become how I behave. So if you believe in running a successful business, you got to know those numbers. How many appointments did I have? Now, let's not even go about those things. Let's just talk about general income things, right? What is your income statement? How much revenue you make last month, last 2 months, last year? What was that versus the year before that? You got to track trends, right? So revenue minus expenses. What's your expense? I guarantee if you don't know your revenue, you likely don't know your expense. And when you sit down and you do an audit in your expense and your revenue, then you realize, oh, actually I'm spending 50,000, I'm only making 30,000. Guess why you're frustrated? Why are you frustrated? Because you are spending more than you earn. Now you got to get that first line of sight. You've got to understand this first concept first in running a business. The challenge is today, the industry doesn't teach this. The industry teaches you how to be a great salesperson. The industry teaches you how you must have your own Rolex and your first Mercedes-Benz, because that will make you feel good. You will feel committed, because when you buy that car or you buy that dream home, you're committed to success. I argue that there's no commitment to success. That's commitment to a dream. This to me is a commitment to success. I'm very vigilant about my profit. I'm very conservative how I spend until I come to a certain level. I'm very clear what I want to use my time and money on. That is commitment to success, in my opinion. Now, if I flip this and I say, hey, if you are a sports person today, and whoever is a sports person in this room here today, they are committed to daily routines.
Right.
They are not committed to the trophy. You don't see Lee Chong Wei talking about, hey, every day I sit in front of my TV, I look at the trophy. I imagine that trophy. That's not what he does. He wakes up every day. He has a routine. What does he do for his food? What does he do for his time? His exercise, his stretching, I don't know, yoga or whatever. Or then he goes for his drills. Then he goes for his multiple drills. And that's how successful people behave. Sports people are a good example of how we should behave to be successful. Right? I look at that as a good role model and I flip that. But the industry doesn't talk this way. The industry talk about what the incentive can you have, what is the dream that you live, right? But these are the things that I think is critical, right? Yeah. Did I answer the question or did I go away?
Yeah. No, when you were sharing, I was imagining, like, as a woman, we want to lose weight, get beautiful. So you could compare it to like buying the really skinny dress, the beautiful dress, and hanging it on the wall, right? And we just stare at that, and we're hoping that if we just keep looking at it, somehow we're going to like get very fit, get very thin, as opposed to making that plan, right? Of like, okay, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to like follow my calories and lose weight. Yeah, but I think it can be helpful to have both. But I see what you're saying is that the industry is focused only on the dream part and not about the planning with the budget and the expenses. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Wow, that's great. So how does someone like Okay, so so far you talked about having the big picture of the big why, and then you have to make a plan for your business. Okay, that's, in terms of the budget and the revenue and all that, and start tracking your items. So is there any other types of thinking that we need to have as a business owner that comes to your mind? Just different mindsets or thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah. The other thinking is, what's the formula for me to engage my customers? And we'll talk about that in our database, but the mindset of what's the formula for me in engagement? What's my rules of engagement?
Right.
So the rules of engagement is a terminology that is very widely used in the army. So for example, if you are NATO, for example, and you're going to into Ukraine and defend Ukraine, assuming that's happening right now. And the way rules of engagement, certain way of thinking is, you should not fire upon. If you are you should not fire only. You should only fire when you are fired upon.
Okay.
Right? If you are entering into certain rules of engagement, there is certain rules that you create in your business. They call rules of engagement. And this is how I think about business rules of engagement: is how many people or how much time do I set aside to engage people that would likely see my value and have an exchange with me. What does that look like? What's the rules of engagement that I set for them? How do I engage them? How do I communicate my value? I was sitting down with an agent I think last year, in planning her business. And one of the ways that we think about engaging the consumer and engaging the market is, and we'll cover this in building a brand in one of our episodes, is to have the mindset of thinking of what is your mission value, right? And what's your mission, your MVPP, what's your mission value purpose perspective, right? What is your mission? Okay. And she came out with this mission is, I want to partner with everyone in this area to find their home. I want to be their partner, either to sell the home or to buy a home in this location. That's the mission. Right. And the vision is that I'm able to have X amount of market shares. And the perspective is, I'm going to be like a top producer. I need to think and be the local economist of choice. That's the perspective. So that's how you think about your business and engage the consumer, right? And a lot of people don't think about it. They don't build a mission. I believe that everybody who runs a successful business must have a mission statement. They must have a key mission in their mind. What is it that they want to achieve? Why they want to achieve it? And what's the vision, right? And I just give the example that agent said, I want to be a partner to the people in this market where I can help them sell their home or own a home. The reason why she used partner is because she believes that by being a partner is the best way for her to deliver value in the marketplace. Now, that's very powerful. When you understand that, the way you engage consumer is very different. Right. You are being partners with them. There's a difference by being partners and being a salesperson. If you're a consumer today, you will choose a partner or salesperson. Right?
I definitely want a partner. Yeah. Right. I will trust them.
Right, because it's about adding value, creating value, working together to solve a problem. So having that rules of engagement, which means your mission, vision, and purpose and perspective, is very important. You need to have that clarity. And I think everyone needs to sit down and talk about that. And we probably have a course just to talk about this, what is the meaning of setting a mission statement. Everyone should have a mission statement. Right. So my mission statement is
I was going to ask you. Tell us about your statement.
I know you're going to ask me. So my simple mission statement is, how can I create impact in the industry that I live in, that I work in, the people around me, and my family? How do I create impact? That's my mission. So I go out there thinking about businesses. When I run business, I'm thinking about how through this business that I'm doing is creating impact. Okay. The word impact was the key word, right? What's the impact? So that's my mission, right? Personal mission. How to create impact. How do I do that, right? I'll start, and everything I do aligns my work and my business that I'm creating impact. We are tech-enabled agent. Why? Because it creates impact by bringing technology in. It creates impact by creating training. It creates impact by bringing better solutions for the technology for the agents, right? So all these are creating impact. what's the impact you can create for your consumer, your customers as owners or buyers, right? You got to start asking that question. If I want to do real estate, I would say that what is the opportunity for me to create impact in that business, right? So that's just my mission. Now, you don't have to follow my mission, but you can think about it in your own. What does that mission look like for you?
Wow. When did you come up with this vision, mission, like I would love to hear the story behind that. Like, it sounds like you didn't start there, right? At the beginning when you just wanted your car. Yeah.
No.
How did you come up with that?
That's a great question. And there are a lot of materials you can read here. And one of my influences in my early life of business, by the way, I'm still very young, just
Yes.
earlier life, younger life, right? Was this gentleman by the name of Jim Rohn. I'm going to type his message. I'm going to type his name. Some of you may have heard of it. Some of you may not have heard of him. I had the privilege in 2005 to sit into a room and I had him speak to thousands of people. And he said something very profound that triggered and provoked the way I think. And he said this, he said that you've got to work harder on yourself than your job. Because if you work hard on your job, you get to be paid to make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you get paid to make a fortune.
Interesting.
So the goal about working hard on yourself, right, means constantly self-examining, self-thinking, self-evaluation, understanding what is it that you want to become. In general, what is it you want to become? Right. You have that clear picture, the vision, and you can't get clarity over a short period of time. It's a purpose-driven life, right? It's a time over task over time journey. But thinking and focusing on your way of thinking about business is what do you want to become? What is it that you want to change? Because if you work hard on yourself, then you start asking yourself, right, what are the things that you need to work on that will help you hit your milestones, right? So those are that was one of my initial early influences that influenced the way I think about life and business. And you think if that concept is adaptable across all walks of life, I think in relationships, in journeys, in all kinds of things, right? It's something that I think is necessary for us, and we don't do a lot of self-reflection most of the time, right? So that's how I think that influenced me to start thinking like that and start understanding, and then I start watching people. I start looking at successful people.
Right.
I start, because of the business journey I was in the early stage of my career, I'm serving a bit more high-end market. I took the opportunity to understand and study their businesses. I had a privilege to talk to many successful people in the country at that moment in time. Some of them were leaders in the country as well. Some of them were political leaders. Some of them were very, very renowned business owners back then. And questions that I ask them, I'm always trying to learn and model after people. I'm just trying to understand their whole life. I don't like to see, oh, he came on a newspaper, he made $1 billion. Yay, that's the way to do it. Let's read his book. But if I have a chance, I will sit down and interview him. I will engage and ask, how did you end up being here? Right. So those were the journeys, those were the experiences that I took to help me understand about business better.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. So you mentioned about working on yourself and figuring who you want to become, and that helped you to come up with a vision and mission for your life. And then you also mentioned about, I want to ask two things. So one, what did you decide you want to become, and how did that help you come up with that mission? So I decided, good question. I think in the early stages, I wanted to create impact for the people around me. My family, the people that I can serve. My late father-in-law was a person that needed a lot of attention and help throughout his last 10 years of his life. And we have to find a way to afford to hire a driver to send him around, to the time, the effort. So those were the things that created that opportunity for me to think about my mission, and it progresses along the way. I remember very clearly one year, I think it was 2008 or 2009, that year, where I had a very successful year. I think 16 transactions a month in average. I tell the people to everyone that year. And I was running a fairly simple team. My GCI gross commission was close to 3 million. If I take a 20% net profit, that was my net profit.
And I found there was no meaning left in what I do. I was not excited to go on next year. I was like, wow, another year, another 3 million. What's next, man? What's impactful, right? So I begin to understand that maybe my journey is just not about making the profit alone, but how do I use this profit and this learning and this journey to help other people to have this profit? Now that excites me. I wake up right now every morning. If someone were to tell me, hey, John, how can I run a business like this and earn this profit? I'm excited to help.
Very cool.
I'm excited to do things. How can I create value that could help agents to do better? I'm excited. That excites me because it's in line with my vision, mission, which is to create impact.
Right.
So there's so much you can do for yourself. There's so much impact you can do for yourself. And I'm not motivated by things, right? If you go to my wardrobe, right, I'm KW Malaysia t-shirt everywhere.
I never see you.
Literally, every day you see me, if you see me on a working day, is this t-shirt. If you see me on a non-working day, it's a Manchester United jersey. I have all the series jerseys since 1995. So guess that's my wardrobe, right? That's my wardrobe. And I have 3 pairs of jeans. So I live a very, I would say simple life, but certain things in life, I don't ask for much because I put that resources to something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, I feel like I want to bring it back to first of all, thank you so much for your open sharing. We know more about you now and about your wardrobe. It's very helpful. You have to dress like a business owner also, right? Okay. Right. Just to bring it back, because maybe a lot of people on this call they haven't hit that point of like feeling empty, making a lot of money, right? Maybe they're not quite at that point yet, right? They're at the beginning. They're just trying to make the money first, right? So what kind of advice would you give to people at the beginning, like getting started, and maybe they have not thought of themselves as a business owner before, and how do they start to do that? What should they focus on? What do they do first in their thinking? And yeah.
Right. So prioritize what is the number one problem you must solve by having a successful business. Ask yourself this question. You wake up in the morning and you do business. What problem is it going to solve? What issues is it going to solve in your life and the people around you? Ask that question. Be very clear.
Number one. Very good.
Number one, be very clear. Is it to fund your life, fund your family's life, fund something, fund medical bill, whatever it is, be very clear about it. Be very, very clear. What is it? And be very clear how much it takes. Because the other frustration I always observe is people set goals that are unrealistic. And I talk about this quite frequent. What I mean unrealistic is they set a goal that will absolutely cause them to fail. And this is how I think an unrealistic goal is. You need 100,000 to fund your life, and you set a goal to achieve 50,000.
Yeah.
You argue and say, oh, I'm a rookie, it's easier if I get 50,000. Because that's what rookies do. And they realize at the end of the year, they're struggling. Because the goal that they set is setting up them for failure, not success.
Right.
That's unrealistic. And everyone's goal has different reality. That is different. We cannot say, oh, John did 80,000 his first year, I should try to hit that. But your own personal life is 120,000, you are negative 40,000. So at the end of the year, you are failing in your life because you cannot fund your life. That is unrealistic. That is really unrealistic. So having understanding of why you do this, again, is an alignment again, right? Why you wake up in the morning and do this is because you need to know this. If you don't even know your own personal life expenses and bills and all that, right? What's going to happen and translate in your business? There is a disconnection. That frustrates a lot of people. I see a lot of people get frustrated because I was frustrated myself.
So there's you have to be able to look at the reality and actually know that, don't stay in ignorance, find out what do you really need, and don't be afraid to just say the truth and put your goal in the where you need to be.
Yeah, because guess what? If you today find out that your goal is, in order for you to break even in your life, is 120,000 with a profit of 40,000, I need to do a gross commission of 200,000. You're very clear it's 200,000. So you start thinking, maybe I should look at different products that will give me different outcome. Right. Maybe different areas that I should focus on based on my strength, because I need to achieve this. Because if I can't achieve this, why am I spending my 1 year here? Unless someone is funding my life, that's a different story. But if there's not, then you've got to think about, this is the life, man. I'm existing here to fund my life. If not, that I will be in trouble. The bank is going to call and repossess my car at my home. I don't want that because I can't pay my bills. So having that clarity and that understanding is important. Then you begin to think certain things in my business I shouldn't be doing one because it's not helping me achieve my goal. Meaning, I shouldn't be maybe I shouldn't be doing the low-cost house in Taman Mida Ceras. Nothing wrong with Taman Mida Ceras. It's just that it's 50,000 per transaction and it's 5 months, 6 months to get your money, and it's 1,000 ringgit commission for 2%, 1,500 ringgit. You got to close, I don't know how many, if you got to close 100 over units to hit your goal, doesn't make sense. Then you set yourself up for failure by thinking that way. Then how do I adjust, right? That's why the GPS is so important. Now, next session, we're going to talk about planning, right? We're going to talk to someone that is focusing on planning because you must understand that. Once you understand that, right, you then are in alignment. You start saying no to many things and yes to few. The challenge with real estate agents is the other frustration. Wow, so many opportunities. Which one should I take? There are some opportunities that's not meant for you because that opportunity takes you away from your goal and your purpose.
Right.
That's how you get alignment. When you understand your work, your life goals, and you match that with your work goals, you get what we call work-life integration. And that's when you are at a sweet spot because you are in alignment. You create energy and you probably have lesser frustration.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's some helpful places to start. Yeah, I'm just thinking you've mentioned lots of things today, about the big why and about, even the, branding and making this, your GPS and the plan, the budget, so many things. Is there any other items that we're missing out? I'm just thinking, like, how about when you're...
I actually wrote some notes here. There's one thing that I think I see frustration as well in many people, including myself sometimes. And that one word I would call, which is to me the most important word among everything you have not learned today, this is the number one thing, is taking ownership. You got to own the results that you are achieving or not achieving.
Right.
A good business owner or true business owner takes ownership of the results, whether it's desirable results or undesirable results.
Right.
Person that take ownership behaves differently, speaks differently. And this is an example of a person that take ownership. Oh, I didn't do this correctly. Oh, I missed my goal. Oh, I didn't finish certain things that I'm supposed to do. A person that doesn't take ownership is, oh, company is not good, they won't give me this. Oh, the government is terrible. So the person that doesn't take ownership likely have more complaints. They complain a lot. They talk about all the negative things because it takes them away from ownership.
Right.
It helps them to not take ownership because it's not now my fault. It's everyone else's fault. And this is what I see a lot. So take ownership. Taking ownership means you must own the results, being it desirable or undesirable. And ownership is important. It helps you to be accountable of your time, your money, your expenses, the people you spend time with, the things that you do, right? So ownership is the critical part, which a lot of times people don't take enough ownership. And ownership requires you to think, to really ask this question, how can I be better in this? Not why that person better than me.
Right.
Why am I losing? But how can I be better? What is it that I am not learning?
Right.
Right. What is it that I am not doing enough? What is it that I should not be doing? So that's taking ownership. So I think taking ownership is a big part of running a business. The puck stops at you. If the businesses fail, every year when I talk to the staff, this is the most difficult part for me as a business owner, is to tell the staff either you got bonus or no bonus.
Okay.
And when they got bonus, everyone is happy. When they don't have bonus, I apologize. Because I have led people to not have bonuses. And the past 2-3 years, I have not had bonuses for people. Or it's very minor. Because it is me. I didn't say it's COVID like that. I'm so sorry. It's me. Because there are things that we did that not hitting the numbers, despite of what's happening in COVID, right? What's happening, everything. So those are the things that we need to be very aware of, taking ownership. And I see the difference between a very successful business person and a not so successful business person. The key thing is ownership. They don't take enough ownership about themselves and then their business.
Wow. This is, I think this is like the foundation of it all when I'm hearing this. I think that's a big deal. I think it's very easy to fall into that trap of the victim mentality, right? That,
Right.
oh, it's because like the people here are so difficult to work with or whatever, right? You mentioned the government, the economy. Yeah, if we can take that ownership, then we can start to solve our problems. We can start to, take responsibility and do something, take
Right.
leadership over what's happening.
Right.
Wow. I would like to ask from the audience, all of you guys, all these things that you've been hearing from John, can you guys just share which of these items is speaking to you the most, whatever aha you've had? Please share in the comments, yeah, what item is something that you want to start working on? And if you have any questions for John or you want any further clarification on these things, can you please just share in the chat? We'd love to hear from you. Yeah, that'll be great. There's so many nuggets of wisdom in here that we've been hearing. And while we wait for these answers to come in, is there any other things? Maybe I never asked you the right questions, John. Is there any other items you had in your notes that you wanted to share about?
No, I think it's pretty much sums up the mindset of thinking, the way we think about being a business owners. And it's really thinking about, it's about alignment. It's about clarity of what business is all about, how you define business. And I think it's very foundational. I know people laugh at me sometimes. I remember someone once mentioned a cohort in the industry who is, of course, in our competitor, and he mentioned this, John, you're teaching all these things too simple.
Oh.
And I said to this person, I say, you are right, because life is never complicated. Is that we men make it more complicated. If you consistently do the simple things and you execute it simply, consistently, you will see yourself being very successful over time. It is the small things that you do every day, the simple things that you think about every day that is actually huge. That is the one that changes the whole landscape of your life and your business.
Right.
So I think it's about the small things that we think about and we do, the way we think about how we run your business every day. And success, as I always say, is very boring. It's repetitive. It's doing things over and over again, over time, to build up towards success, right?
Right.
Lead generation is something you do every single day. You don't do it once and expect it to be successful. It's every single day, right? Right.
That's
so
great.
many ahas here.
Yeah, that's great. Let's go through them. Alignment of personal goals with business goals, creating value, impact to the industry, clients, family. This is great. Delivering value, create customers, manage profit, examining yourself time to time, taking ownership, the value you can give to clients. So not just thinking about survival, but being profitable. That's awesome.
Right.
Anyway, this is really great. Appreciate hearing from you guys. It's very encouraging and help us to know what is speaking to you. So are there any resources that you would recommend for people who want to think, look, how do I become a business owner? How do I think that way instead of just a salesman? Yeah, or
right.
what steps to take?
Right. So good. I read this book at a very early stage of my life. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad, Understanding the Thinking Philosophy of an Investor and a Business Owner.
Right.
I think that's a very good foundational book to read. I'm reading a great book right now, which I've been preaching all over. It's called Who Not How. And sometimes in life, right, you want to spearhead your success. It's not about how, it's about who you need to talk to and spend time with. Who you need to learn from. Because if I want to lose, I said this many times, if I want to lose weight today, it's not about me figuring out how is me going to call someone who is the person. It's just that I'm not willing to call this who yet, right? Personally, I'm still not driven enough to call the who to help me lose weight yet, right? But if I want to propel myself, it's the who. And you'll be surprised around us, actually, there are a lot of people with a lot of resources that can help us. Help us in the shortest period of time, because the goal is not to take a long time to achieve our goal. The goal is to figure out what's the shortcut. Right. And the smart way is a shortcut. And when I mean shortcut, I don't mean shortcut in a negative way. I mean shortcut in the smart way and the positive way. Shortcut to me is if I can learn from someone who is successful and have a plan already. For example, if I go and see someone who has a successful GPS, I'm going to ask him, can you just show me how your GPS works and how does it look like? Then you will learn how to do GPS straight away. You don't have to wait for the next course. You don't have to wait for the next person. You just go and look at someone who has successfully implemented, executed a GPS, and you go and learn from that person for an hour, go buy him lunch and say that 1 hour, I just want to learn from you.
Right.
Because it's who, not how. Faster, it's much faster. Now I'm changing my mindset. And if I'm thinking about learning about something, I'm going to call someone. I'm not going to think about it too much.
Right.
I'm going to ask him, hey, you're successful here. Do you mind spending an hour with me and explaining to me how you do it?
Right.
And what's the win I can give you in exchange for this hour, right? so I will do that because that's the way to start successful. That propels. Don't follow my old style. Is I bang walls and hit walls and do things by my own and all that. And the market today, and the market correct. And the market today is too fast for that kind of approach. You got to move faster. And the fastest way is to leverage on others who have done it before. That's why I like KW, because it's a system and model company. People who have achieved success has left us clues and left us steps that they have done that fail or that succeed. Right. And we can learn from them. So I now have a resource of calling anyone in the whole world. Say, hey, can I spend an hour with you? How did you recruit so many agents over a short period of time? I sit down and talk to that person. So that's how I would think you can start that way. You don't have to like become so you raise the kung fu, kung fu, the show called Kung Fu, the legend continues. The guy go on a journey and he slowly learn his kung fu very slow and build his foundation and all that slowly thing, right? Now think of that as 100 times faster. Because in business, you can achieve that 100 times faster, right? So you got to think about it differently, the way we think about our business and learning, right? How can we learn faster and become smarter and leverage?
I love, just now you're sharing about the talking to people. I mean, I heard earlier you were sharing that when you were a younger agent, you would look in the newspaper and find those people and go to try to interview them. And it seems like even I know your story about, I mean, that's how you found KW also, right? You found somebody out there that you respected and you wanted to go and learn from them. Right. Yeah. So this is like definitely a great piece of advice. So people can read this Who Not How. You can read the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is some great helpful advice. You can go check out Gary Keller, I'm sure.
There's a podcast that I would encourage everyone, the podcast called Think Like a CEO podcast. I don't know what your support, if you're hearing this right now, what your support, if you can find the Spotify link and then put it in the chat box. I think there's 5 seasons. Think like a CEO, right? Okay. Yeah, Think Like a CEO on the podcast. You can go on Spotify or Google for Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I think it's available. Think Like a CEO by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. Right. Phenomenal stuff, short bits. I sometimes, when I walk my dog, I listen to the podcast. I turn on 15 minutes, 20 minutes podcast to just set myself content that can help me program the way I think. Right. And it will help keep your mind there in that. Yeah. So sometimes you repeat the podcast. It's very simple. It's 15 minutes, 20 minutes podcast, right? And it really changed the way you think about business and life and all that. So I listen to a few podcasts. I listen to a lot. Now I'm listening a lot about Harvard Business Review. I listen a lot on Bloomberg, those business big picture type, because I'm trying to be big picture thinking, right? Okay. But I think Like a CEO is a very good podcast to start, or the One Thing podcast is a very good podcast to start. Cool. This is great. I'm excited. Right. This is awesome. Okay, I think we should close up. Do you have any last parting words for our lovely audience? Right. Unless you decide what you believe in, whatever you do is not consistent. It will only bring frustration. Decide what you believe in, decide what you want to become, because your action is only a demonstration of what you believe in. Your action, your behavior, it's an outcome of what you believe and you think about your life and your business. Right? It's the inward that decides the outward. It is the roots that decide the fruits. So be very clear where is the starting point. Focusing on the roots, focusing on the inside, focusing on inward that will deliver the outward. Think about what you want to believe and what you want to become. And then only you will behave like that. Don't start with trying to behave like that first and pretend to be that first. You can pretend to be that first once you are very clear you want to become that, right? So decide on what you believe in, because it will show up in your action and your words and your behavior and the way you show up. So that's my last words to everyone.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you, Jonathan, so much for your time and energy to prepare for this talk and share with us all. And thank you, Ashlyn, also for sharing in the chat. We have the CEO podcast and One Thing podcast there. Appreciate all of that. Let's just give a thank you and round of applause for John. Thank you for everyone. Okay, so I think we have some announcements. Okay, so this is our full plan for our series. Next week, 11th April, we're going to have Create Your Business Plan. And we're going to have Jonathan Lee again, of course, interviewing Lee Wing Fung. So they're going to be discussing about how to create your business plan, how to plan it out. Okay, and after that, we also have our success stories as always. We want to invite you guys to just share if you have any success stories regarding closed deals or culture or even your tech, experience with tech and having success with that. Please share it with us, or if you know about someone else, maybe they're very shy to share, you can just share on their behalf, because we want to find out more and share it on our social media just to encourage fellow agents, and we can all learn together, right? We want to learn from each other, so that's great. Also, we have our touch points. Some of them are apparently on hold, but there's a whole library you can find on Workplace. So please share these, to your fellow, your friends outside. We would love to have more people joining us and KW, and also can share with your clients so that they know what value you can bring to them. So thank you so much, everybody. We really hope to see you next week joining us, and goodbye for now.